Meet Lance Figgins, a poet turned storyteller who's been writing for over a decade. From heartfelt poetry to the thrilling Joe and Kay West series, his stories blend truth, passion, and imagination. So real you might forget where fiction ends. Hollywood noticed, readers are hooked, and he's just getting started. Join us as we step inside the creative mind of Lance Figgins.
Hello there, my name is Maria, and today we have the multi-talented author and poet whose latest work, Deadly Desire, has been making waves, even catching Hollywood's attention. Friends, let's all welcome Lance Figgins. Hi, Lance. Welcome to Author's Den. How are you feeling today?
Oh, pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty great myself. Well, I just want to jump in now to the interview. For those new to your work, how did your writing journey begin? I understand you started in poetry.
Yeah, I started writing poetry out of boredom 10, 12 years ago. I'm a long distance trucker. That's what I do for a living. That's what pays the
Mm-hmm.
bills.
Mm-hmm.
And they got these new logbook system now that we have to go with, which means I have to park 10 hours a day, every day. I have no choice. So after I get a few things done, I got several hours that I'm doing nothing if I'm not tired. So I started writing poetry, and from there I just, sitting in a snowstorm one night, decided, well, let's give it a try and see if I can write fiction. About 5 hours later, I had the first story framed in, and I sent it to a couple of friends, and they said, oh, you got to try to get this published. Well, there we go.
Oh, so it just started with boredom, the shift from poetry to fiction.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Really like so. So let's talk about Deadly Desire. Can you give our listeners a quick overview of what the story is all about?
Deadly Desire starts with on a ranch in Montana. The guy's name is Logan Lathrop that owns it. The ranch name is the Rocking L. And it opens with him sitting on a bluff overlooking a valley,
Mm-hmm.
and he sees somebody riding across the far end of his ranch, the far end of that valley. So he's going to go check it out. And he gets going down through there, and it gets to be dark. Now, this is grizzly country. It's just north of Yellowstone Park. If anybody knows Montana at all, it's in the Red Bud area and Beartooth Pass area. And he he goes down to check it out, and he decides, it's getting toward dark, and he doesn't want to get caught by a bear or anything out in the. So he heads for home. The next day he goes back out there, and he sees the tracks, but just one set of tracks leaving. He thinks, well, somebody probably lost. And from there, it brings Joe and Kay into the story. They're living in Chicago at the time, and Kay wants to go see. Joe's got a cabin out west. So Kay wants to go see it, and Joe's a pilot, and they fly out there, and it brings in a little bit of that, just enough to wet your whistle. And he stops at Logan's place on his way in. Logan's got a private airstrip, and Kay gets introduced to the wilds of Montana. Now, this is modern day. It is not back in the cowboy times.
Mm-hmm.
And Kay gets introduced to ranch life kind of abruptly when the horse actually walks into the kitchen. Logan's got a spoiled little paint stud that he's been raising,
Uh-huh.
and he's kind of mischievous. He walks right into the kitchen and scares the you-know-what out of Kay, and Logan slaps him on the keister and pushes him back outside. As it's going, Joe and Kay get a message where they have to go on and trap a couple of mountain lions that are causing trouble in a small village in Mexico. So they get headed that way, and they get down there, and Joe's out trying to find the mountain lions, and Kay gets kidnapped by a guy named Hector.
Mhm.
And I've kind of given you the first
Yeah,
two
I was.
books, which is Fight to Survive. That's where everything starts. Then Deadly Desire comes in and ends up with a running battle horseback against cars going across the deserts of Mexico trying to get back to the United States and back to safety, of course, which would be law enforcement. Um, the drug cartel doesn't want to let Kay go because she's a very attractive lady and she's worth a lot in the sex trade industry.
Oh, all right. That's interesting.
And that's what I try to write about the two things that are really in everybody's mind, not as much now as they were a year ago, and that's the drug traffic, all the fentanyl coming into the United States.
Hmm.
And Hector, the main villain, is a drug trafficker and human trafficker.
Oh,
And he brings dope into the US and then kidnaps whoever he can and goes beats feet back across the border. And I started this. I read a story. I was in Arizona and I just happened to have the paper in my hand while I was eating breakfast. And I read a story about a lady that was reported missing. I followed the story as much as I could. And then after that, it just went with my imagination.
right. So this was the particular moment or event that inspired you to write this. I think it's going to be a trilogy of books. Like you wrote the first one. What was the title of that again?
Fight to Survive is the first
Fight
book.
to Survive.
And
And this the
that's
second book.
that's Fight to Survive is just introductory to everybody. I bring all the characters in,
Mhm.
and then came Deadly Desire. That's the one I just kind of told you about, where Kay got kidnapped,
Yes.
and Logan, Renee, and Joe have a running battle to get her back. And from there, I went to Surviving Evil, which was the next book in the series. Um, Hector and his gang of misfits come right to Montana and try to steal Kay again, and
Mm,
doesn't work so good.
okay.
And from there is Blood in the Desert Sand. Um, that turned out to be an excellent book. Everybody has read it as I've got friends that read all my writing, and they've all contacted me, and they just can't believe it that I'm writing this. They Everybody absolutely loves it.
I am sure.
So
Is this the book that caught the attention of Hollywood?
Deadly Desire got the attention of Hollywood, and
Can you share how that happened and what was the experience like?
well, we're still dealing, but in the middle of this thing that I had going on with them, um, Deadly Desire won the prestigious Book of the Year award
Wow.
in the romance thrill category,
Hmm.
and that I'm kind of proud of that. I got a plaque up here on the wall. It's got all the stuff written on it and framed. In fact, I think I got two of them in here. Yeah, one in my office as well.
No, that's good. Well, how much of it is drawn from your own life experience or interests?
I'm a very avid outdoorsman. I love to hunt. I love to
Uh-huh.
hike. I like the woods. I fell in love with the mountains on my first elk hunting trip, and it's just getting worse. And I spend time out west. I'll actually get out of the truck and just go hiking around. I've done that in Yellowstone a couple of times.
Really?
Park the truck in a rest area, throw a backpack on, and take off. Go for a walk, just to see the country. Um, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, is a fantastic mistress, and once she gets you in her grip, you'll spend every minute you can, just like I have for the last 40 years, exploring her beauty. It's outstanding. I've spent I've, I've hunted in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, And I don't hunt just to kill something. I mean, I hunt just so I can spend a lot of time in the woods and seeing the different things that nature's got to offer. And they've got a lot to offer. It's the more you spend, the more you want to spend.
Well, that goes why you have all these books because your inspiration is vast and is really enchanting. Every author has their own process. What does a typical writing day look like for you?
I'm a trucker, so I spend lots of hours driving down the highway. Um, and I think about where my book is at and where it's going and where I want it to go and how to get it there. And then in the evening, after I'm parked for the day, I might write for an hour or 2 hours, depending on how far I can get. And I just do that pretty much every day that I'm gone. When I'm home, I don't write as much as I should,
Mm-hmm.
but I got other things I need to do. I own a Peterbilt, and maintenance on that gets kind of time consuming sometimes. So between owning and operating and maintaining the truck and then trying to write and owning a home, mowing grass and all that kind of stuff, it's a full time. I steal all the time I can to write.
You're very, very busy. Well, you've mentioned that parts of your stories come from real life. Can you share an example?
Yeah, I wrote on this on the Wrangell St. Elias Mountains in Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
and my first trip to Alaska, I actually spent a couple 3 days just wandering around looking. That truck was parked in a rest area. I had all the food and stuff I needed, and I spent 3 days just hiking up in the mountains and as far as I could get on a one-way hike. Um, I turned around about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and hiked back to the truck every night. Um, Alaska in the springtime and summer, you get 24 hours of daylight. So you got a lot of time that you can spend sightseeing, searching, trying to find a country. And that was one of the things. I'm also a licensed pilot, and I've spent many hours in the air. And Joe in my books is a licensed pilot. So some of the stuff that's happens to him is actually true. It happened to me. Joe's got a 310. That's a twin engine airplane. I had a 172. It's only a single engine, but I had the engine make some funny noises one afternoon, and it's nerve wracking.
I can
Trying to get
imagine.
get back to the airport real fast, or to a airport as fast as possible.
Okay, that's good. How has your writing changed you personally over the years? You've written so many books, and I'm sure one book after another, you have a different thing to offer every time. So, what are the changes from one book to another?
It's a saga. It's a continuing story, and I try to pick up pretty much where the previous book left off. Um, Sometimes that doesn't work as good as I want it to, but I try to do it that way.
Mhm.
And I got an overactive imagination and way too much time to think when I'm driving. So if I come up with an idea that I think is going to work, I'll start the book that night and then just think about it every day and keep writing until I got it done.
And who are some authors or artists who've influenced your storytelling style?
I couldn't tell you who writes the same kind of stuff as I do. When I'm writing, I love to read. And when I'm writing, I don't read anything other than short articles and trucking stuff, rules, regulations. Um, I've had a couple people say that it was like Yellowstone with a crossover to First Blood to a crossover to James Bond, but
Wow.
it's not any of them. It's let me back up. Joe is not his birth name. He is 6 years special forces. He started as a hunter sniper, which doesn't exist, and Afghanistan, Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was trained to hunt down and kill terrorists. So when he got back from Afghanistan, he got intercepted by the DEA, and they asked him to go undercover. So he spent 6 years in Afghanistan and then 10 more years in Colombia, deep cover DEA, doing the same thing down there that he did up in Afghanistan, causing trouble, tracking down the cartels and causing as much hate and discontent as he could. And I touch on some of that mostly in Joe's memories as he's sitting there thinking about something,
Mm-hmm.
or a dream that comes while he's at night. Nightmares. I'm trying to think of how else to describe this. When he comes home from Colombia, he wants to retire, and they set him up with a new name and everything else. Well, his
Mm-hmm.
first his first name gets blown, and he's back into it again, and they do it a second time, and that's where Joe West come in, and from there it's him trying to stay away from areas that he could get in trouble with, and finally it you got to read the books to
I
find out what
should.
happened.
I
I'd
think I
like to
should.
I'd like to tell you what happened, but then
Now
I
you have to
wouldn't tell.
stop, or else
Yeah.
people wouldn't be buying the book because you've told them already. But what's next for you? Any projects or releases we should look forward to? Nowhere to Run, perhaps?
I'm about half done with Nowhere to Run, maybe a little bit more. I wanted to have it done by the first of the year, but I can see I'm not going to make that. Uh, it's turning out to be really good too. Now, there's one part where they steal an airplane. They're in Colombia and they steal an airplane. I might as well kind of give this one away. And while they're flying,
Mm-hmm.
Joe has never flown floats. He doesn't know how to land a seaplane, but that's what they managed to steal.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a he's got a he's he got the plane off the water, and while they're at altitude, he's going to stall the airplane and find out how slow it'll fly before it starts quits flying and starts falling. And Logan is scared of airplanes, scared to death of airplanes. His mom and dad died in a
Any
airplane crash
crash? Uh-huh.
uh, several years ago, and he's got Kay and Renee in the back seat. He's got Logan in the passenger seat in the front, and he tells him, "I got to stall the plane." And Logan says, "You got to do what?" He said, "You got to be kidding, right?" No, he said, "I got to find out where this thing stalls at up here at altitude rather than down there close to the water where we could get. Well, they're not too happy about that. And there's a couple other things that happened during that little area, and it'll be released probably late spring, and it's
Okay.
it's going to be another very, very good book.
I am sure of that. Well, I just want to ask you, for aspiring authors listening to us right now, what's one piece of advice you'd give for those who are just starting up writing? And by the way, you have an amazing imagination. Your storytelling is so compelling and entertaining at the same time. Very interesting.
I'm 66 years old, and I've got lots of years of experience behind me to come up with these different things. Being a pilot helps. Being an outdoorsman helps. Snowmobiling, backpacking, you name it. Camping. Um, to a new author, write where your story is taking you. Don't worry about it staying in romance or staying in adventure or action. If it makes a turn and goes into some adventure stuff for a while, let it go. Right where the story is taking you, right where your mind tells you to take the book.
Have you ever done horror?
Mike, my agent, he told me, he said, my God, you switch back and forth from one gun to another one. And he said, I said, well, do you want, he said, no. He said, they're interesting. They're thrilling. He said, everybody likes them. Just keep doing what you're doing. Let the
Hmm.
professionals figure out what category it's supposed to be in.
Okay. So, where can listeners find Deadly Desire and your other books?
They're available online everywhere. There are a few bookstores that are starting to carry them. My website, lancefigginsbooks.com. There's links. All the books are listed there, and there's links to Amazon and Barnes and Noble,
Hmm.
and you can just look at the story, read the first 10, 15 pages, and if you're interested, there's a link right there. You can get it from Amazon, you can get it from Barnes and Noble. Um, but they are available on all electronic
Platforms.
outlets.
All right.
They're,
So, yeah, how can your fans follow your work or connect with you online? Because you don't
um,
know, you have no idea how many people you have touched with your storytelling, and some of them would want to connect with you, perhaps.
there's the website's got a what they call that when you can talk on the
A
blog.
chat? All
It's kind of
right.
got kind of a blog on it, and
Mhm.
you can you can list what you'd like or didn't like. I mean, um, if you don't like the story, I want to know why.
Mm,
Um, it's that's as much helpful as saying this is great, I love it, or I didn't like the part of when the animal died, or when Logan got hurt, or whatever. Um, I'll take criticism, good or bad.
right. Do you expect one of your books, or especially Deadly Desire, to be in the movies very soon?
As we're still working on that, and I don't want to jinx it, but yes,
All right.
um, Deadly Desire and Blood in the Desert Sand and Justifiable Vengeance are all um, Hollywood's got their eye on all of them.
Oh
But if
my,
I say
congratulations.
if I say that we're coming out in the movies in you know 27, um, when it does happen, it'll be on my blog, on my website, and everybody can
Mhm.
find out about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lance. Any final message for your readers?
Like I said, the blog is available. If you like the books, tell me, tell everybody. If you didn't like them, at least tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, a lot of people read the blog, and Mike's trying to keep up with it as much as he can. So yeah, if you like the books, let me know. Tell your friends. If you didn't like the books, let me know anyway.
Right.
And
Well, anyway, Lance, thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing your story. And I expect to, well, I will personally be getting a book from Amazon. And I'll start with what was the first book before Nowhere to Run?
fight
Paradise.
to no fight to survive is number one.
Fight to Survive. I think I'll get that
De-
first. And then
and
no, not Nowhere to Run, Deadly Desire.
Deadly Desire, Surviving Evil, Blood in the Desert Sand, Justifiable Vengeance, and coming soon, Nowhere to Run.
Wow. Well, I'm sure your fans are all expecting to get a copy of that very soon. Lance, thank you so much for your time. And I hope to, well, talk to you again for Nowhere to Run.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. You
Thank you so much. And you have a great day. This has been
yep.
Maria. There you have it. Lance Figgins. Thank you so much and see you next time.